Welcome to Merkeb Tube, where we delve into fascinating stories and truths. Today we explore the story of Lucifer, the fallen angel. This tale is one of beauty, power, and ultimately downfall. In the celestial hierarchy, Lucifer held the highest position among the archangels. His name, meaning bearer of light, reflects his radiant beauty and brilliance. He was God's most beautiful creation, an embodiment of perfection and splendor. His dazzling presence was a beacon of light, illuminating the heavens with a glow that was unmatched. Lucifer was not just revered for his beauty, but also for his wisdom and strength. His virtues were many, his character admirable. His voice was harmonious, his words persuasive. His wisdom surpassed that of other celestial beings, and his strength was unparalleled. He was entrusted with significant responsibilities, reflecting his esteemed status in heaven. He led the heavenly choirs, his voice resonating through the celestial sphere with a divine melody. He was the morning star, the first to greet the dawn, spreading light across the heavens. However, with such glory and respect came a sense of pride and entitlement. Lucifer began to question his place in the angelic hierarchy. He was God's most beautiful creation, the highest archangel, yet he was not equal to God. This realization sparked a flame of discontent within him, a flame that would soon grow into a raging fire. The virtues that once defined Lucifer became overshadowed by this growing pride and ambition. His radiant light began to dim, his wisdom to falter. His once harmonious voice began to resonate with defiance and rebellion. His quest for power and equality with God, coupled with his inability to accept his place, would ultimately lead him down a path of destruction. But as we will see, the beauty and power that Lucifer possessed would lead to his downfall. Lucifer, despite his high position and beauty, was not content. This was a being who, despite being created as the ultimate expression of beauty and power, found himself grappling with a growing sense of dissatisfaction. His pride began to swell within him, like a balloon inflating with each passing moment. Picture this, if you will. Lucifer, the highest archangel, God's most exquisite creation, begins to question his own powers. He was the epitome of perfection, but a nagging thought began to creep into his mind, a thought that would prove to be his undoing. He started to wonder if he could be equal to God, his creator. This thought, as dangerous as it was intriguing, started to consume him. It was like a seed planted in his mind, steadily growing, its roots digging deeper into his consciousness with each passing moment. The pride that was swelling within him was not the kind that stems from the accomplishment of a well-executed task or the success of a hard-fought battle. No, this was a different kind of pride. It was the kind of pride that springs from a sense of entitlement, a belief that one is inherently superior to others. This was the pride that led Lucifer to question his place in the angelic hierarchy. This questioning, this doubting, was not a mere philosophical exercise for Lucifer. It was a dangerous game of power and hierarchy, a game that had the potential to disrupt the balance of the divine order. His pride blinded him to the consequences of his actions, making him believe that he could challenge the divine order without facing any repercussions. However, as we all know, pride comes before a fall. And in Lucifer's case, this fall was literal as well as metaphorical. His pride led him on a path that would ultimately lead to his downfall, a path that was as treacherous as it was tempting. This pride was the beginning of Lucifer's downfall. It was the catalyst that set in motion a series of events that would forever change the course of divine history, a series of events that would lead to Lucifer being cast out of heaven and imprisoned in hell. This was the price he paid for his pride, a price that serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and pride. Lucifer's pride and ambition led him to take drastic actions. Seizing the reins of his destiny, he decided to challenge the very foundation of his existence. His radiant beauty and vast intellect were not enough for him anymore. He yearned for more. He yearned for equality. He yearned for supremacy. The rebellion that Lucifer spearheaded was not a spur-of-the-moment decision, but a calculated move. He gathered a third of the heavenly host, convincing them that they were more than mere servants, that they could be equals to their creator. He whispered promises of power and freedom, and many were swayed by his charismatic words. The heavenly realm, once a beacon of peace and harmony, became a battleground. This was not a war fought with swords and shields, but with willpower and conviction. Lucifer, in his blinding arrogance, believed he could overthrow the Almighty. He sought to usurp the throne of God, to claim the celestial crown for himself. It was a conflict that shook the foundations of heaven. The loyal angels defended the throne of God, while Lucifer and his followers fought fiercely, their eyes gleaming with misguided ambition. The air was thick with tension, the atmosphere charged with the raw energy of the battle. Yet, the rebellion, as grand as it seemed, was a futile attempt. The omnipotent power of God was not something that could be overthrown by mere ambition. The strength of Lucifer, the most beautiful of all angels, paled in comparison to the divine power of the Creator. Despite the chaos, despite the rebellion, God's throne remained unscathed. His divine authority was unchallenged. The heavenly host watched as the illusion of Lucifer's power crumbled, as his rebellion fell apart. His attempt to seize control, to be equal to God, ended in failure. The angel of light, the bringer of dawn, had fallen. Lucifer's rebellion, however, was to no avail. His actions led to his downfall. His pride was his undoing. His rebellion, his war, his ambition, all led to his eventual exile from heaven, marking the beginning of his eternal punishment. The consequences of Lucifer's rebellion were severe. With a ripple of shock that echoed through the heavenly realms, Lucifer, once the highest archangel, once God's most beautiful creation, was cast out of heaven. This was no ordinary fall. It was a plunge from the celestial heights, a descent from the pinnacle of angelic hierarchy to an abyss of ignominy. Lucifer, the angel of light, was now Lucifer, the fallen angel. His rebellion, stemming from pride and a desire for equality with God, had led to his downfall. Not just a physical fall, but a spiritual and moral one as well. For in his quest for power, Lucifer had lost sight of his purpose, his role, his place in the grand scheme of things. He had forgotten that he was a creation, not the creator. His fall was not just a downfall, it was a transformation. No longer was he the radiant angel of light, the bearer of truth and wisdom. His beauty, his light, his glory, all were stripped away. In their place, he was left with bitterness, resentment, and a burning desire for revenge. His wings that once shimmered with celestial light were now charred, a stark reminder of his rebellion and fall. And yet, Lucifer's fall was not without consequence. It was a stark reminder to the rest of the heavenly host. A warning of the perils of pride and rebellion. A lesson that even the highest and most beautiful of God's creations could fall if they allowed pride to cloud their judgment. Lucifer's fall marked the end of his time in heaven, but it was also the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter that would see him rule a different realm, one far removed from the glory and splendor of heaven, one where he would be the king of his own kingdom, albeit a kingdom of darkness and despair. Lucifer's fall was a direct result of his pride and rebellion. It serves as a timeless reminder of the perils of hubris and the importance of understanding our place in the world. Lucifer's punishment was not just his fall. His transgression was met with an eternal sentence, a confinement not just away from heaven, but in the fiery depths of hell itself. Lucifer, once the most admired among angels, was now a fallen angel, cast into the abyss. Yet even in his downfall, he held a position of authority. In hell, Lucifer was no longer just another inhabitant. He assumed a new role, that of the ruler. His dominion was now a realm of torment and despair, a stark contrast to the celestial grandeur he once knew. From a place of divine light, he was banished to a world of eternal darkness. His status shifted dramatically. He was no longer the angel of light, but the prince of darkness. His pride and ambition led him to a path of eternal damnation and rulership over the damned. So, Lucifer went from being the highest archangel in heaven to the ruler of hell. The story of Lucifer is a cautionary tale. From his lofty position as the highest archangel, God's most beautiful creation, to his fall from grace and ultimate imprisonment in hell, His journey serves as a stark reminder. His pride and ambition, his desire to equate himself with God, led him to question his own powers and place within the angelic hierarchy. This pride sparked a rebellion, a defiance that led to his downfall and eternal punishment. The lessons from Lucifer's story are manifold. It underlines the dangers of excessive pride and ambition, the perils of questioning one's place, and the severe consequences of rebelling against divine authority. Lucifer's tale is a sobering narrative that continues to resonate across the ages, a narrative that forces us to reflect on our own actions and choices. Thank you for joining us on Merkeb Tube. We hope you found this exploration of Lucifer's story enlightening. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories and truths.